Okay, so I want to try a quick experiment. Be honest with me. When I say the word Lent, what's the very first image or feeling that hits you?
For most people, I'd bet it's probably a mental image of like a sad plate of fish sticks.
Hmm.
Or maybe just that vague sense of guilt because you already failed at giving up chocolate 3 days in.
Exactly. It's the season of the Great Deprivation. Culturally, even if you aren't particularly religious,
Hmm.
I think we tend to frame Lent as this 40-day grit your teeth marathon.
Right.
It feels like a second kind of gloomier attempt at New Year's resolutions where the goal is to fix our bad habits or, just make ourselves miserable for self-improvement.
It's the boot camp model of spirituality. We have this idea that to get better, we have to, well, break ourselves down first. It's all about renunciation and just white-knuckling through temptation.
Which is exactly why the source material we're covering today just it really stopped me in my tracks. We're doing a deep dive into a text called A Lenten Journey, 40 Daily Invitations of Contemplation and Action by Thomas Wacknitz. And the reason we're highlighting this guide is that it completely flips the script on that boot camp mentality. It argues the season isn't about fixing myself at all.
It really does. It offers a radical shift in perspective. If you look at the introduction, Wacknitz defines the season in a way that just sets the tone for the entire 40 days. He calls Lent the grace of returning.
Returning.
Yeah.
Hyphenated.
Yes, returning. Think about it like you're using a compass while hiking. If you realize you're walking slightly off course, you don't smash the compass or beat yourself up for being a bad hiker.
No.
You just pause, notice where you are facing, and gently is the key word here, you turn back toward the right direction. It's an issue of orientation, not some deep character flaw.
That distinction is huge. It really takes the shame out of the equation.
Yeah.
So our mission for this deep dive is to walk through the progression Wacknitz lays out.
And it really is a progression.
Yeah, it's not just 40 random inspiring thoughts. It's a 5-part journey that starts deep inside with just noticing, and by the end, it pushes you all the way outward.
To becoming a refuge for other people. It creates a movement from internal awareness to external action, from noticing to being given.
So let's get into part 1. This is the inward turn. And specifically, the first phase is just learning to notice. Wacknitz starts day 1 Ash Wednesday with a pretty surprising idea for a day that's usually about, dust and death. He says, you don't need to fix anything before you start.
That is the day 1 insight, and it's so crucial. He says Ash Wednesday isn't asking you to become someone else or a better version of yourself.
Right.
It asks you to bring your heart exactly as it is, shaped by the world, by love, loss, wounds. He has this beautiful line, my broken heart is not abandoned. It can be gathered.
Gathered. That is such a relief. I feel like we always think we have to clean the house before the guest arrives, show the laundry in the closet, hide the mess.
Exactly. But here the instruction is just to open the door. But here's the catch, and this is where the work begins. To do that, to actually notice what's going on in your heart, you have to slow down. And that brings us to day 2, where he talks about the unhurried moment.
Oh, this one hit home. I feel like haste is basically my operating system.
You are definitely not alone in that. The text argues that we've accepted haste not just as a necessity, but as like a rhythm of life. We wear busyness like a badge of honor.
Sure.
But the deep insight here is that haste prevents connection. You physically cannot connect with God or your spouse or your kids or even yourself if you are mentally sprinting to the next thing.
It reminds me of that idea that hurry is the enemy of love. You just can't love something you're rushing past.
Precisely. And Wacknitz's challenge for day 2 is deceptively simple. He asks you to allow a single unhurried moment where, and this is the key, no outcome is expected.
That's the hard part.
It is. You aren't resting so you can be more productive later. You aren't praying to get an answer. You are just stopping.
And that is terrifying for a lot of us, because when you stop, the first thing you hit is silence. And for me, silence isn't always peaceful. Sometimes it's really loud.
It is uncomfortable. We usually try to fill silence with podcasts or scrolling or just mental chatter because silence can feel empty. But in day 3, Wacknitz gives this definition of silence that I think is worth writing down.
Okay.
He says silence is space where the heart is no longer required to explain itself.
No longer required to explain itself. I love that. In the noise of the world, we're always justifying ourselves. I did this today. I achieved this. I'm valuable because.
In silence, you just are. And once you stop explaining and start listening, you begin to notice things you missed. Day 6 talks about noticing where the heart tightens.
This is such a physical description of anxiety or fear, that feeling, that
Right.
clenching in your stomach, a tightness in your chest.
Right.
Usually when I feel that, my instinct is to analyze it to death. Why am I stressed? Is it work? Is it that email? How do I fix it?
Right. We treat our emotions like a mechanic fixing a car engine. We want to diagnose and repair. But Wachnitz says, don't analyze it, just notice it. He writes, I relinquish the need to explain why my heart tightens.
So the goal isn't to force it open.
No, the goal is to let that tight place be held. It's a posture of compassion toward your own stress, rather than treating your stress like a defect.
Which leads us directly into the second phase of this inward turn, learning to release. Because, let's be honest, once I notice that tightness, my next instinct is to control it.
Day 9 tackles this head on. Control versus surrender. And we have to be careful here because surrender is such a loaded word. We often think it means being careless or lazy.
Or passive, right. Like, Jesus take the wheel means I'm going to take a nap in the back seat while the car is moving.
Exactly. But Wachnitz argues that surrender is simply admitting a factual truth. I am not the source of life.
Oof. I am not the source of life. That stings the ego a little. We act like if we drop the ball, the entire universe stops spinning.
Precisely. And this connects to day 11, where he reframes the whole idea of giving up. We usually equate holding on with faithfulness. Like, if I worry about this problem enough, if I grip it tight enough, I'm being responsible.
It's the worry tax. If I worry, I feel like I'm paying my dues. If I let go, I'm failing. I'm quitting.
But the source says letting go is an act of faith. It's placing the thing you're worried about into hands that are more capable than yours.
Okay, but I have to push back a bit here. If it's just a factual truth that we aren't in control, why is it so incredibly hard to let go? Why do we grip so tight?
That is the million-dollar question. And day 12 offers a fascinating psychological insight. Wachnitz says we resist releasing things not because we're stubborn, but because resistance is fear's attempt to offer safety.
Wait, say that again? Resistance is fear trying to keep us safe.
Think about it. If I hold on to my anger, I feel protected from getting hurt again. If I hold on to my control, even if it's fake control, I feel protected from chaos.
Okay.
The text says we need to listen to that fear, not judge it. We need to see that our resistance is really just a misguided attempt at safety.
That makes me feel a lot more compassionate toward my own stubbornness. It isn't that I'm a bad person for struggling to trust. It's that I'm scared.
Exactly. And that honesty admitting I am scared is what this season demands. Day 14 makes this crucial distinction between perfection and honesty. Wachnitz writes that Christ does not ask for a finished, resolved self.
He asks for honesty.
He asks for honesty. Grace meets honesty. It doesn't wait for perfection.
And that leads to day 16, which talks about uncertainty. If we're honest, most of us are walking around with a lot of question marks.
Of course. And the text says that being held doesn't mean having everything explained. That's the key takeaway for part 1. You can be carried through the unknown without a map.
So we've looked inward. We've noticed the tightness. We've tried to release control. Now the text shifts. Part 2 of the journey is the shift receiving and seeing clearly.
This is where the source of our energy changes. We stop running on our own fumes, that haste we talked about, and we start learning to receive.
And he starts with gratitude in day 17. Now, I have to say, gratitude has become a bit of a buzzword lately. It's part of the corporate wellness package. Write down 3 things you're grateful for, and you won't be burnt out anymore.
Right. It can feel like a task. Another item on the to-do list to prove you're a positive person. Wachnitz contrasts that sharply. He suggests gratitude isn't something you manufacture. It's something that settles when you realize your soul is held in God.
It's the difference between forcing yourself to say thank you through gritted teeth.
Yes.
And actually feeling relieved because someone helped you carry a heavy box.
Exactly. And that relief allows for day 20, meeting yourself with gentleness. This is something many high achievers will struggle with. We are often so kind to others, but absolutely brutal to ourselves.
The internal monologue is harsh.
It is. The text says compassion starts when we allow ourselves to be met with gentleness, not correction.
I love that distinction. Not correction. I feel like I'm constantly self-correcting. Don't say that. Stand up straight or work hard or be better. To just be met with gentleness feels radical.
And it's necessary for the next big step, forgiveness, day 22. This is always the heavy lifter in any spiritual journey.
It is, and the source is really careful here. It doesn't say forgive and forget, which I think is a damaging cliche.
No, and that's important. Wachnitz writes that forgiveness isn't saying the hurt was acceptable. It's not wiping the memory. It's deciding that the pain no longer rules my heart.
No longer rules my heart. That's a powerful shift. The pain might still be there, but it isn't the boss anymore.
Exactly. It doesn't have the final word in your story. And as you get free of that ruling pain, you experience what Day 24 calls being warmed from within. It implies that holiness isn't achieved by striving, it's achieved by consenting to Christ's presence, which warms the heart from the inside out.
It sounds so much more organic, like a thaw in spring rather than a construction project.
Which leads to a new way of seeing. Part 4 is learning to see clearly. And the first thing we see clearly is the paradox of wholeness and brokenness.
Day 25. I highlighted this one heavily. We tend to think wholeness means no cracks, like a pristine vase that's never been dropped.
But Wachnitz argues that true wholeness doesn't require the absence of wounds. It means holding what is broken within God's care. You can be broken and whole at the same time.
That reframes everything. I don't have to wait until I'm fixed or healed to be whole.
And that changes how you treat other people, too. Day 27 talks about truth and love. We often use truth as a weapon.
Oh, yeah. I'm just being honest, people.
Right, I'm just telling the truth. Usually means I'm about to say something mean and I don't want you to get mad at me.
Guilty as charged.
The text warns that truth without love can wound. Truth only heals when it's carried in love. And this leads to Day 28, seeing our shared humanity. When you stop judging yourself for your brokenness, you stop judging others for theirs. You see the shared fragility in everyone.
It's the basis of real unity. We aren't united because we agree on everything. We're united because we're all fragile and we're all longing to belong.
And that sense of belonging culminates in Day 29 and 30. The text describes that internal state of feeling scattered, when your brain is in 5 different places.
Only 5. That's a good day for me.
The text says Christ gathers these fragments, and that leads to true humility in Day 30. And again, we need a definition check. Humility is not thinking you are garbage.
Right. It's not self-loathing.
No. Wachnitz defines humility as a willingness to be changed by what is revealed. It's teachability. It's openness.
That's a great definition. It's not about low self-esteem. It's about high curiosity and openness to growth.
And that openness prepares us for the final movement. We've turned inward, we've shifted our source, and now, finally, we turn outward. Part 5 is learning to be given.
This is where the rubber meets the road. The journey doesn't end with me feeling peaceful in my room with a candle. The text says, what has been received is not mine to keep.
Exactly. If it stops with you, it stagnates. The first thing we offer the world is a very specific kind of hope. Day 33. This isn't the everything is going to be fine kind of hope.
Which can be so annoying when things are definitely not fine. That toxic positivity again.
The source says real hope looks directly at what is suffering. It doesn't look away. It refuses to believe suffering has the final word, but it doesn't deny the suffering exists. It is a sturdy hope.
A hope that's been through some stuff. It's grounded in reality.
It connects to Day 35's definition of peace. We usually think peace means a lack of trouble, sitting on a beach with no cell service.
Counts nice, though.
It does. But Wachnitz says peace is the strength to remain. It's the strength to stay present when the impulse is to run away, withdraw, or numb out.
That transforms peace from a passive feeling into an active strength.
Yeah.
The strength to remain. That is incredibly challenging.
And when you have that strength, you become what Day 36 calls a refuge. A steady person becomes a quiet shelter for others. You don't fix people. You aren't their savior.
Right.
You just offer a presence where they can rest.
I think we all know someone like that. Just being around them lowers your blood pressure. They don't try to solve your problems. They just are there.
And that is Day 38, hope spoken by presence. You don't need to defend your hope or explain your theology. Your hope is proven by the way you listen, by the way you remain.
It's so much less pressure than thinking I have to have all the right words to say to someone who is hurting. I just have to be.
And finally, Day 39, Christ given. The ultimate goal is that this life that's been formed inside you, this gentleness, this peace, this stability, it flows outward almost unnoticed to the world.
Almost unnoticed.
Oh,
I like that. It's not a performance. It's just flow.
It is the natural byproduct of the journey. You notice your own heart, you let go of control, you receive grace, and then you just naturally spill that grace onto everyone around you.
So we arrive at the end, Day 40, the big finale. You've done the work, you've traveled the journey. What's the final instruction?
It is surprisingly simple. Remain in love.
That's it.
That is it. The instruction isn't to go do something new or conquer a new mountain. It's to stay in the space you found.
Let's recap that arc, because it is a really beautiful trajectory and so different from the give-up chocolate model we started with.
It is. It starts with noticing, stopping the haste, then releasing, letting go of the need to be the source, then receiving, letting yourself be held and warmed,
Then recognizing the shared brokenness.
and finally, becoming a refuge for others.
It's a complete loop. You go deep inside so that you can actually be of use outside.
And I think the final provocative thought Wachnitz leaves us with is this. You do not need to put yourself back together. We spend so much time trying to glue our own pieces back, trying to present this cohesive front to the world.
Right. Look at me. I've got it all together.
But the text says, you only need to allow yourself to be gathered. Let God hold the pieces. And then let the light shine through the cracks into the world.
Is a much gentler way to view the season and, honestly, life in general. It takes the pressure off fixing and puts the emphasis on trusting.
And finding that unhurried moment to just let it happen.
So that's our challenge to you, the listener, today. Find your own unhurried moment. Maybe it's right after this duck dive ends. Don't rush to the next podcast or the next email. Just pause. Notice which way you're facing. And let yourself be held.
It is the grace of returning.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll see you on the next one.
Take care.